Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Lifting the Veil podcast with your host, myself, Adrienne Lopez, the Integrative Healing Coach. Thanks for joining me for soul healing conversations, guests, and topics that support you in unveiling the nature of your consciousness so that you can embrace your destiny and not suffer your fate. If you hear something today that resonates with you, please don't forget to like, share, or comment, and or subscribe, as it really supports the growth and reach of this podcast by increasing our listenership, which makes this whole endeavor possible. In the meantime, please sit back, relax, and get ready for this week's episode, where I interview Fern Capella Allen, a higher path coach, accomplished astrologer and tarot reader, on the topic of building the new earth. We'll get started in just a moment. Awesome. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Lifting the Veil podcast with myself, your host, Adrienne Lopez, the Integrative Healing Coach. And I am so excited here to have my special guest, Fern Capella Allen. And today we're going to talk about some exciting work that she's up to and some work that we're actually doing together. So before we get started, welcome, Fern.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adrienne, for having me.
Oh, I'm excited. I just wanted, before we get started our conversation, which we already started off camera, I just want to give the audience a little introduction about who you are and the work that you're doing. So actually, I just met Fern online just a couple weeks ago, and she reached out to the community about her new Earth School PDX Portland for this year. That's commencing next Wednesday already, March the 20th, and it's going to be 6 consecutive weeks. And it is a skill sharing, empowered mentorship, and accessible education for the community. But just a little bit more about her background. She has a lifelong passion of guiding others toward self-realization and empowerment. In fact, she has her own coaching practice called Higher Path, and she brings a wealth of wisdom and experience with her. She has a diverse toolbox of interests, including tarot, astrology, human rights activism, writing, and poetry, and I would even say theater and music as well. Yeah. So she is a Renaissance woman, let's say. So my kind of gal, my kind of lady. So I invited her here today to just share her vision of this theme that she's gotten inspired with, Fern, about creating this Portland New Earth School. I know it's been a lot of work and a lot of planning. But what got into you? What made you what was the fire?
So this free school was something that I did with a lot of my little anarchist friends back in the early 2000s. I was an activist after 9/11, in Portland, and we kind of had this whole the beginnings. I mean, there's been many incarnations of the seeding of the new earth, right? And so I think that time was also part of it, where we were kind of creating a little mini world here, in rebellion and in response to some going to war and stuff like that. We were like, no, we don't want that to be our world. We want to make a different world. And like I said, the mini incarnations, because there's the 60s, there's so many different ages, generations, or guess decades and generations that have been sort of creating this new age of Pisces, that we're moving into. And we, for sure, our generation and who we are, anyone alive right now, is definitely kind of encompassing the birthing of that age, because that age really is going to be ahead past our time, but we are massaging this baby out.
Laying the groundwork.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an incredible gift actually to be alive right now, because what we are doing really is impactful for millennia. This is a very important time to get ideas into the world. And so, yeah, in the early 2000s, we had like a community system that was, I call it anarchistic. And actually call myself the last standing anarchist because there's just been so many things that have changed, like
Yeah.
changed people through this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more, anarchism isn't necessarily like, like no government at all, but more like being a Cascadian. Like we're here in Portland, which is in the Pacific Northwest, which is Cascadia. So being like locally run government and
Yeah.
involved in community connection and caring for your neighbor and just tilling your own soil and that kind of like
Yeah.
focus.
I hear it like a sense of like self-leadership or self-sovereignty.
Yes, and
Yeah.
community sovereignty and community leadership. So yeah, there is definitely like a knowing that you're in part of the world, but it's the part of the world that you're in, and the
Yeah.
part that you can really affect and that you're really affected by.
Yeah.
And then from there, kind of going out and healing, from that place forward. So yes, we started it that back then. That was one of the many things we did to kind of like get to do some like humanitarian activism, but locally, and that was called Free School. And it really was completely free. It was like this, the dial-up computer. We had a calendar that was out there somewhere, and we would
Oh,
put
wow.
up anyone could put up a class. And most people had them at their homes or just like a coffee shop or something like that. And and anyone could go to it. So it was just completely free, and you would just like find the calendar and just go to any classes that were happening that week and stuff. So it
Cool.
was always changing. Yeah, it was really cool. Exactly. And it's kind of part of the free economy, barter trade economy that's coming,
Yeah.
and that's like part of that. Like, so here in this time, so I've always wanted to bring it back. Like I've
Yeah.
been in spaces, and been like, wow, this would be cool. This would be cool. So like I did a dance at the Hollywood Bazaar, which was in Hollywood during COVID time, like 2020, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought it up there to maybe have it because it was a space, I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
can have the free here. But the thing that is really interesting that I found about like bringing this in, especially in
Yeah.
terms of space, right? And like how to do it.
Public
Um,
space. Mm-hmm.
yeah, use of space and just that we're not actually in the new earth yet,
Yeah.
And so it is like we still are in this completely capitalist system. And so we are kind of like
S-
birthing the new earth with new ideas and stuff, but we're still coming out of
Straddling.
we're straddling,
Yeah.
exactly. Straddling right now. And so it's not been like the easiest fit because it is not very revenue like producing for say the venue,
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is like good looks, you look good doing
Yeah. For
it.
the community, good PR.
Yeah, good PR, bring good
Mm-hmm.
vibes, I actually did a KBOO interview around it. People love to hear about it. They want to
Yeah.
know about it, and but yeah, so there has been some interesting resistance around like actually, doing it in a space full time, but we are still making it. So I was the event manager in a space, and so that's when I was able to kind of like really birth this thing and make it happen, which is
Yeah.
pretty exciting because I think that was a huge reason I was there, to be honest, was to finally make this thing a real thing and really reach out to the community and get the community inspired, building their own synopsises, like
Yeah.
creating 6 week long programs. And I guess the point of it and why it's called New Earth School PDX and not free school any longer is one, it's not free. It's $5 a class. It's free for a teacher. So if you're teaching, you can take any other class for free. So if you're
Yeah.
teaching, it's a skill sharing thing like that.
Yeah.
But if you are not teaching, then it's $5 a class. So it is not actually free. It's $5 a class. So it's complete. So it's more like the accessible education,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the empowered mentorship is like, these teachers, we all have worked on our skills and mastered our skills over these lifetimes. And we don't necessarily go to school for them, but we have the capabilities, the qualities, to
Yeah.
teach and to be giving what we've learned. So that's kind of that like sidestepping the education system and just saying, no, the motto is if you think you can, you can,
Yeah.
if you think you can teach this class, you can teach this class
Well,
because like,
I also want
no,
to say that a lot of people included on the schedule have developed their skills in, work settings and real life settings. So, it's not to say that, they didn't necessarily go to school, but I mean, they went to life school, let's say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they put their sweat, blood, and tears into this thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's why it's like, let's value what you know over what you've been accredited for,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Let's value what you really are and what you're great at. And there's a lot of benefits to teaching. I think there is, like, you can get any other class you want. So you teach one class, but you can take 3 or more classes.
Yeah.
But there is also, the networking, the client building. Like, I just feel like you're
Yeah.
able to top of mind for what your skills are and stuff. And that's also really cool. Community building in general,
Yeah.
becoming part of
Support the
this.
community. Mm-hmm.
And then there is the longer thing of the legacy building, which is like, this is the new earth that we're building, and part of
Yeah.
coming together now is in skill sharing is that this is an uncertain time. We are changing a lot of things right now. It is kind of important to, like, get our hands, in the dirt, and get our
Yeah.
hands, like, we can know for ourselves and stuff. And especially in person, I think is really cool too, an aspect of it. So and then with the students paying $5, it's accessible, but it's also an investment. So, instead of it being completely free, it's saying, like,
Yeah.
I've paid for this class, like, I
I
want to be
value
here.
it. Yeah. I'm just going to show up.
Value. Exactly. So yeah, so that's pretty much been the idea, and there has been some bumps along the way in terms
Yes.
of the space again,
Yeah.
because it isn't like this isn't a free economy right now. This
Yeah.
isn't just like a free for all. Yeah,
A
right. So
gift economy
yeah,
as of
a
yet.
gift economy. Yeah, it's not yet. Yeah, but we are going in that direction, and there has been, like, a great response, and so
Yeah.
many. This is a viable child. This is a
Oh,
viable
definitely.
product. So it is
Yeah.
going to be only gain kind of like strength and, its own legs and its own
And to be
wings.
fair, Fern, I mean, the turnaround time in which you had to find a space after getting notice that you weren't be able to hold it in the original space was like a week. So, I mean,
Exactly.
unfortunately, if you had more time, there's lots of places um,
It's true.
that would, gift the use of their space. I know businesses would. They aren't using them on certain time frames. But that was a quick turnaround for you. So I applaud you
So
for
true.
for taking
Thank
that on.
you.
That was a lot.
Thank you so much. And you're so right. And actually, this one is this. Well, we just have to get through this. This is our first
We
one. This is the
don't have to
spring,
get
right?
through it, Fern. We're going to enjoy it. But
We're
I
gonna enjoy it.
understand. I
Yeah,
understand.
but we just have to get it in the ground.
Yeah.
It's a lot, like, it's funny. It's starting in spring, and
Yeah.
it's like, we got to plant these seeds. We got
The
to get this thing,
infrastructure. Yeah.
get it happening, because it's true. It's basically 6 weeks on and 6 weeks off. So the next one would be it's on the equinoxes and the solstices is when it starts again.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so the next one will be in June 21st, time. So
Yeah.
that can be, a whole new place, or, there's just a lot that we can grow from it kind of happening again. And
Yeah, and as you're speaking, I'm just envisioning like there's like a building of a resource, a communal resource, and it's just getting folded over every 6 weeks, right? And built
yeah.
on itself. So that's super exciting. I can see that vision now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, and we can teach the same classes to new people. We can teach new classes to, new people or old people. We can, I think
all
there's just
different
going to
types of
be, like,
people. Yeah.
yeah. And one other thing I think is really cool about New Earth School PDX, I mean, New Earth School, and I'll first of all, it can go to any city, right? So this is New Earth School PDX. It'd be
Yeah.
awesome if other cities did this as well, in-person
Yeah.
classes, skill sharing classes.
Yeah.
They're not already. And then, but in this model, and what would be really cool though is if they got on a calendar. So say at the rebuilding center, they
Collective.
had a,
Yeah.
yeah, so like it can be anywhere in the city, just adding their classes into the calendar. So say you were teaching on Wednesday night, but then you wanted to take a class on Saturday or Sunday, there would be classes available. Or you're teaching on Saturday or Sunday, you want to take a
Yeah.
class.
So it's
So
like the new Earth collective for PDX, but then you could have
Yes.
them like a nationwide,
Yeah.
statewide,
Yeah.
worldwide. Yeah.
Totally. New Earth School, Chicago, New Earth School, this and that. And yeah, and if you are teaching, because it's a skill sharing thing, it's like if you are teaching in Portland, it'd be awesome if you were teaching in Portland and you went and visited Chicago and you could go to any school for free there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, because you're teaching somewhere. Like
I
that'd
love
be
that.
amazing. Yeah, totally. So
Now,
it'll grow.
now, Fern, I'm excited. I get if I didn't mention it yet, I got to be one of the volunteers to teach a mindfulness class starting next Wednesday. And so I'm
Yeah.
excited about that.
So
It's
excited
been,
for your class.
yeah, it's been like, I want to say probably 4 years since I've taught mindfulness in a face-to-face setting, just because
Yeah.
of the pandemic and, leaving education right around 2020. And it was so tumultuous, so much shift and change for people. And everybody went online and was doing everything online. So it's so refreshing to start like, dipping my toe back in and like starting to go to events where you can actually see people and connect. And it's really, really great. So I want to thank you for putting all your time and your energy into this.
I'm
But
so grateful you're a huge part of it. I mean, every teacher, that is doing this, it's like we can't, and that's what I'm learning about the New Earth School or in New Earth in general, to
yeah,
be honest, is that yeah, I have a little bit of a superhero like the let me just put this whole world on my back and carry this thing up the hill,
well, that's the old world model.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that is like I've learned that through the loss of the space that I originally had because I was like, oh, perfect. I have a space. I have the energy to create this organization. I have the like I'll
I
do it all and then
yeah
I'll just have people show up. And instead I really spirit basically called me out on that part of like the lower frequency of the ego in
yeah.
that and just the isolate. I don't know, there's like victimhood, there's isolation, there's ego, there's a lot of things that are like really subtle in there,
So
that like
subtle because they're
yeah,
in the
that bring it in.
background to where you don't even notice them because
Yeah.
they
You're like, I
they're
just want
like
to do something nice. And they're like,
yeah,
well, let's look into that a little bit.
yeah,
So yeah, I really got called and it really did hit pretty hard to
yeah,
lose the space and to disappoint people or to have any kind
yeah,
of like, like that feeling of like not coming through like perfectly
yeah.
and all
Letting
that stuff.
people down.
Yes, exactly. And that was important for spirit to actually teach me was that like, hey, Fern, hello. In the new earth, like you can't do it all yourself. That's not
And
what
you
this is
weren't meant
about.
to. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really about like seeing the brightness and beauty in each other,
yeah.
and like believing and trusting and like all the things that we have to kind of like fall forward into to really have this like safe space coming forward, so
And that
people
everyone's going to be part of the plan and a part of the new world, right? The new
exactly,
earth.
and to call people into their greatness too,
Yeah,
and not just like take it all on yourself and say like, don't worry, I'm great, I can
I
handle
got
this,
it.
and
Yeah.
say, yeah, I got this, like you could never, like
Yeah.
no, that's the old person.
The ego aspect,
Yeah,
that's so sneaky.
exactly. It is.
Yeah, it's so interesting because the more people I talk to this past, I don't know, I would say about 2 weeks now, people have been going through it on all
Yeah.
levels of like this old paradigm of the way it's been showing up for me is around self-worth,
Mhm.
resource, like there's not enough money, there's not enough time, there's not enough blah, 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 and all the
Mhm.
littleness that creates.
Totally.
And it's been so many people have been going through it and just like it's in the nervous system, it's in the body, it's it's in the air, it's in the water, and it's all being cleared out at a massive
Yeah.
rate. At least that's what it feels like to me.
I'm so with that. And I actually think they may have, the lower frequencies may have sent up a few extra like they were like, whoa, they're getting too big for their britches now. They're about to
Yeah.
take over this place. Like they're about to be free.
Yeah.
Like quick.
Quick.
Send them up, send
Yeah.
them up because like I don't know. It does feel like, yeah, we kind of got like a big wave of resistance, contrast,
Yeah.
that a lot of us had to like recently work through and be like, whoa, like we thought we were like just gliding through, but no, like boom, we're kind of
Still
hitting this
there.
wall, yeah,
Yeah.
this glass ceiling kind of thing. And yeah, but it's actually beautiful. It's like and that's where I was like, oh, why did I forget that like that's a thing?
Yeah.
I kind of was, it was a little naive, of me to like think that I was literally born with the capabilities and the strength, the resilience to work with those energies, work through those energies and still birth the new earth, like
Yeah.
help the birthing of the new earth. And but then for some reason recently it was almost like we got a small reprieve, and then we were like all gathering our, like new
Yeah.
eggs and stuff like that. And then we got like presented again with like that contrast and that resistance. We're like, whoa,
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's just more work to do. There's more time, there's more to work through, like
Definitely.
inside and out, because it's always like, right, like it's always a
A
mirror of each other.
reflection. Yeah.
It is, exactly. So yeah, that's where instead of me being like, oh, like why is this happening to me? I really looked inside and said like, why is this happening to you? Like
Yeah.
what do
Why is
you
this
need to learn
happening?
from this?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like what are you kind of needing to let go to really, really let this be successful,
Yeah.
instead of like trying to manage the whole thing on your own. So, and asking for help is a great new skill I'm learning.
And it's a gift because people really want to contribute. They want to be part of something. They want to
Exactly.
like be part. It's like it's like when you have a vision. It's like everyone has a vision for their life, right? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
how do I get to enroll others in my vision, and I get to support their vision, and it's all like a simultaneous bump, like we're all, yeah. So, yeah, so
That's beautiful.
I love it. But sometimes, we get stuck in the old ways because they're familiar and we don't even know we're in it while we're in it until we do, until we're like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, I remember now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like trusting, I'm kind of like impatient, like, and I like things to like
Really?
happen, kind of
Mhm.
quickly and stuff like that. And I think I have to really surrender has been a big message for me
Yeah.
in like just in my spiritual growth. They're like, you know what, Fern, like don't you're the resistance, like you're like, come on, let's go, like make it happen, like that's resisting,
You're
like
the
what is the
resistance.
flow.
I love
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So I read this
Yep.
thing today. It was like, I surrender as I invoke the power of love to do its work in my life.
Mm,
And I read that and I did that. I went, yeah,
yes.
yeah, that's it. We forget, right? And
Yeah.
so we forget that
And that's the trust, that's like the trust piece, like
yeah.
love is happening
Well, I
here.
mean, it's moving through us. We are it.
Yeah,
Just like
exactly.
we're the resistance, we're also the love and the answer, you know?
Totally. Yeah. And just knowing that that you're part of something greater and very and completely loving.
Yeah.
And there is no like wrong answer to, like how it goes is how it's supposed to go. And you're supposed to, and this is kind of like, and to go with it and like ride these waves,
Yeah.
like ride the crests of the wave
Like the
and not
surfers.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, just be a surfer. Yeah, totally. So yeah, it's nice. It's been a good like it's it's like you always, you start something to do something for others and you learn so much about yourself along the way, so it's
Yeah, it's
been
a
really
little
like
a
that.
little secret gift you didn't see coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is interesting. It's like we're going from the metaphor of like the hero or like the
Mhm.
warrior to a new paradigm of like um the collective alchemist, or I don't
The
even know.
collaborator.
Yeah,
The
the collect
collaborator. Yeah.
the collaborator.
Yeah. Yeah, the collaborator, like the connected
Connected
community.
leader. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I do think there is still like some leadership that like because we are in the middle, we're in the
Yeah.
middle of this whole thing, right? We're
Yeah.
not like on one side or the other.
We're on the
So it
bridge.
is, We're in the bridge,
We're
yeah.
on the
And
Golden Gate Bridge.
and we're born with different like unique, some people are born built Golden Gate. I love that. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
You got it. I just waited.
Yeah, totally.
I'm like, one,
It's such a,
two, no.
I love it. Yeah, totally. But yeah, it is like we do have to kind of like embrace our gifts that we were given
Yeah,
uniquely,
yeah,
in the process, and let them shine, but also not like even the whole kind of
yeah,
celebrity is an old paradigm. There's just so all those like, the individual and then the masses, like
yeah,
there's not really that's fragile.
yeah,
I don't think we're going for fragile anymore. I think we're going
yeah.
for like the
Empowered,
resilience,
resilience,
or yeah,
embodied,
and
enlivened.
inclusive, like
Yeah,
bringing in everyone, respectful of everyone's light and everyone's like capability for being loving and truly being a loving being, whether or
yeah,
not they're like seeing it right then,
yeah. Good
seeing it
way of
for them.
putting it.
Yeah.
So, so I want to talk a little bit about your work as a coach, and you mentioned we had started talking before we popped on, and I said, "Save it! I want to hear it during our interview." You
Yeah.
were talking to me about your coaching and your unique approach about how you work with astrology and energy and things like that. So, yeah. So, what lights you up about your coaching and the kinds of work that you get to do with people?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking.
Yeah.
I am just deeply blessed, and I'm just super grateful. I'm so thankful to Spirit to speaking of astrology, my south node is 26 Pisces. Okay, so it's very, very late Pisces.
Yeah.
And my moon is conjunct Neptune. So I'm a natural like psychic and a natural
Where's your moon though?
and my moon's in the fourth house. Yeah, in Sagittarius. In
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. Yeah, yeah. So my moon conjunct Neptune in Sagittarius, and then my south node very late Pisces, right?
Yeah.
So and which means my north node is in Virgo.
Yeah.
And my sun is in Virgo, as well as my Saturn and north node, right? So Saturn, north node, Virgo, Saturn, north node,
Wow.
and sun all in Virgo. So I'm really here to kind of like, it's like very clear, if you
Yeah.
know astrology, it's like really clear what my job is here, when it's really a job, because that's all that Virgo. It's definitely like full on mission oriented, little
Yeah.
job girl got going. And that's also all these lessons of like of humility and reminding myself like what the purpose is. It's not because I'm a Leo rising as well, so that's like that creative side. And so it's kind of like I'm a built leader. Leo rising is definitely like, hey, I'm willing to get out in front of a crowd. I'm willing
Yeah.
to, I have like lack of inhibition and stuff like that. But with yeah.
A lack
Yeah.
of inhibition.
Yeah.
Let's say, how can we say that in a more positive way? Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like a free-minded approach to being perceived and stuff,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like and it is true, like I dance without, and I love my like free-minded approach to being perceived, because
Yeah.
um it's like I actually don't do any coping mechanisms. I don't even drink caffeine or anything like that, so I'm completely off all that stuff. I don't do psychedelics even, but I'll be like the trippiest person people are talking to,
Well, the thing is when you're deeply connected to creation, that is a trip. Do you
It's
know
a
what I
trip.
mean?
It's
Like you're like,
exactly.
dude, I'm tripping. Like
Always tripping.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just like so
totally.
connected to life force. I'm like
Yeah,
fully alive.
exactly. Yes, totally. That is what it is. It's like, and especially that late Pisces South node. It's like I'm kind of born from the other side. That's really
Yeah.
where I'm coming from, is like very part of like, the oneness. And then I'm coming in though with a really clear plan with the Sun, North Node, and Saturn and Virgo. It's like the job is to land, the job
Yeah.
is to bring the other side to this side,
To be
basically.
the
And then
bridge.
yeah, to be that bridge. Yeah, it's funny. And to also like, right.
I was
And
gonna say, is that a coincidence?
Yeah, I don't think it is anymore. It's more synchronicity at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then yeah, moon conjunct Neptune in Sagittarius. It's like there's just I'm just born to be able to sort of like um connect to other, and there's something about the gift that I've been given, which is seeing other people's real self, like their higher self, we can call, or their true, essence, their true beauty, their true
Yeah.
brilliance, like their amazingness. And
Their
it's such a
highest
gift. Like,
self. Yeah.
yeah, they're totally. And who's kind of like projecting into this as the, so I get to see them from the other space where they
Yeah.
really are. And then,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can space in this like in this plane with them, but
Yeah.
I'm able to really like receive them as they really
Yeah.
are. So it's really beautiful. And so as a so my business has been called Higher Self Consulting, so I've had that for a while. And but yeah, now with Higher Path Coaching, it's like basically it's a container, so instead
Yeah.
of just a single, it's more of a container where I can spend time with people. And I am a tarot reader. I've been a reader for a long time. I've been an astrologer for like almost 20 years, and I've
Yeah.
done many conferences and all that kind of stuff. And then I have many intuitive downloads and spend a lot of time with spirit, just like connecting on my own. So I am offering my clients a chance to see themselves, to be with themselves, at their higher self. And then also to kind of, instead of me always being the liaison for that, like really finding tools to access that alignment themselves, and
Yeah.
then moving into their highest timeline. Because there is something around, and I had to find this for myself, where I felt like I was kind of like a dumbed down version of myself. Like there's many, dimensions of
Yes.
us, right? And I
Yeah.
was like, I want to be like the cool one, that you're
Yeah.
always hanging out with. It's like I don't want to be the one that you're like, oh, she's fine, she's over there just doing nothing, like I want to
Yeah.
be the one that's like doing stuff with you, like engaged, activated,
Yes.
like accompanied. I want
Alive.
to be in that space, yeah, all the time. So yeah, I did. And that's the thing about, as you know, guiding others, is that you go through so many of those steps yourself along the way. And
Yeah.
right, yeah, and so you have like a real, talk about a bridge, like you have a real, step by step kind of guide to moving over into the highest timeline, which is really exciting for, like, as an offering for people. So yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the big, I don't know, I don't mean to generalize, but it seems like sometimes it's like coaches are doing their own work at the level in which they've, initiated themselves into. But because, I'm speaking for myself here, have made that journey, back and forth, have
Hmm.
gone into the darkness and done so many layers of clearing that there
Yes.
is a roadmap, you know, and it's
Yeah. And it's the
just,
human experience.
yeah,
Like people don't want to be kind of talked to from, the other side and called over, like, it's okay, just come on. They
yeah,
want to be walked over, and
yeah,
like, and kind of like cherished along the way, and shown that it's safe to take these steps and stuff like
yeah,
that. So
because it's scary.
yeah,
It can be scary.
it is. Yeah, it is. But I think people really have a strong desire. I'm sure you've seen in 2023, 2024, especially, major ascension, like activations, and just
Yeah,
lots of like code downloads, and people just waking up into themselves, right? Like
yeah,
on their own.
yeah, and going, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely accelerating, I believe. Um, but there's still a large amount of people that are, um, I don't know, they're just at where they're at, So I don't mean to, again, I don't want to generalize about people, but yeah, still, um, I guess it's like everyone kind of has a feeling like something's not quite right here, but I can't quite figure out what. But wanting to see the bigger picture and really longing for systems and structures and institutions that are in alignment with serving the good, the common good of the people. And if anything,
Exactly.
that's really what people are getting really clear about. Like this isn't working for us
Yeah. Well,
economically,
Pluto,
politically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, Pluto leaving Capricorn. is a big part of this, you know.
Yeah.
So Pluto left Capricorn, and we were kind of creeping through Capricorn, and you could see the patriarchy and like the kind of older corrupted systems like falling apart. But Pluto leaving it and entering into Aquarius, it's like we're in a whole new stage of like that doesn't work anymore, and like it's all gonna fall down, and we're all kind of okay with it because we're moving into a new now we're moving into so basically we're in the moment of if you were a corrupted system institution, it's about like you made it through all of Pluto and Capricorn, you're
Yeah.
fully about to like fall on your head, you know.
Yeah.
Heads will be rolling like soon, you know.
Well, I mean, that's what it is, right? The sovereign, right? As something outside of us, it's now getting what is the word? Redistributed. The power's getting going is in the process of being redistributed. It hasn't happened quite to the level
Exactly.
in which we desire. It's just beginning. But
Right. And and a lot of people thought, oh, well, Pluto and Capricorn is over, and it's not over at all. It actually, because Pluto is just such
goes
like an,
back.
you know,
Yeah.
it's such a transformational planet as it because it moves so slowly over.
Intergenerational, right?
Yes, it is. I think it is pretty much generational. Like I mean, it does, it moves through but it seems like where Pluto is at, that's like the generation, you know, like say Pluto and Capricorn generation, you know,
Yeah.
the Pluto and Aquarius generation, you know, like it seems
Yeah.
like, um, and we're like, I'm a Pluto and Libra generation. Um, so which is like Gen X, you know, like
Yeah.
kind of like my time, which was when Pluto was in Libra. But yeah, I just think like they're going to, if you were corrupt as an institution or a patriarchy or individual,
Yeah.
you are about to totally lose your head. If you were not corrupt during this time, like, and if you didn't already, you know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
escaping
Yeah.
it. But if you're not, sorry, my dog's
Oh, I can't.
if
Oh,
you're not, sorry about that. My dogs are, there's like 10 of them. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
It's just three, but they sound like
Okay.
10.
Sounds like there's 10.
Yeah. You can't see it, it might as well be 10.
Yeah.
um, but uh, but yeah, and if you were not a corrupt like system or individual during this time, then we're going to be dealing with the onset of the Pluto and Aquarius stuff,
Yeah.
which is exciting. Because Pluto and Aquarius is sort of like the last puzzle piece before we can really clear into the new Earth. Like,
Yeah.
because we are moving into the age of Aquarius, and it's like we have to really encounter the dark side of Aquarian concept so that we
Yeah.
can use this power for good kind of thing, you know. Pluto is like power.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like we need to encounter some really interesting things around like the internet, the web, and worldwide connection,
AI. Yeah.
AI. Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And that's kind of also what the New Earth School PDX is like. It's kind of preempting the feeling that we're going to be getting soon, which is like we want to get off the internet. We want to get close to each other and into our own communities because this stuff is going to like kind of reach its hand out and like, you know, slap us in the face and stuff
Yeah.
individually, collectively. And so we're going to go like, hey, like, let me check on my neighbor. Let me check on, you know, like, let me go do something in person and let
Yeah.
me
Hands
do
on.
hands-on. Yeah,
A
so that's kind of the
skill.
newer stuff too. Totally. Like we're gonna need to know these things
Yeah.
so that we're not relying on, you know, robots and stuff. So um
Yeah.
right.
Let's not do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what were you going to say before because we're just coming around the end. Was there something else you wanted to say?
Oh, just that I'm really excited and super grateful to be a part of this. And I'm so excited we finally got a chance to connect
Yeah.
in person-ish. And I can't wait to
Yes.
see you next week for sure. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
super grateful that we are starting this thing. Thank you so much for your amazing energy and putting your efforts in. It's huge and so meaningful to not just me, but all of us, you
Well, it
know, the
was
collective.
very synergetic. You know what I mean? Like I just saw it and I'm like, oh, wow, that's, really, that was the right frequency and vibration, right? To get my attention. And it
Yes,
was like, oh,
I
that
love
sounds
it.
fun. I want to do that. And
That's
I
huge.
want to be a part of
That's so
that.
fun.
And
I love it.
so just to look, I'll put all of the links for registration and the schedule and the description of this podcast. And then There's everything from like, I think there's a class on fermentation to like twerking. And then there's
Exactly.
like, I'm teaching mindfulness. You're doing tarot, right?
I'm
And
doing tarot, I'm doing cash flow and budgeting, and I'm also doing Theater of the Oppressed, which I actually have like some of the books right here. So
oh,
games, oh, I can see it, but
see, yes, that's what happens with the
but anyway,
background.
yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. But
no
anyway,
worries.
yeah,
It's
Theater
a
of the
cool looking
Oppressed
book,
is
okay?
it is, yeah, Theater of the Oppressed.
There
There
we
you can
go.
see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Theater of the Oppressed, and it's like Augusto Boal. He does like interactive theater, basically,
Oh
so you can learn
yeah.
about so yeah, I'm doing like three really different things, but
Yeah.
so many people are
That's
doing such cool stuff.
They are. It's just like such a good
Yeah.
mix. What do they
Yeah.
call that when you're just like improv kind of thing, right?
It's kind of like improv,
But not.
but it sets up like a scene where you may want to do something different. So imagine like you're in the bus and there's a drunk guy yelling at a mom,
Yeah.
and then like there's going to be the bus driver, there's going to be other people witnessing that, there's going to be the
Yeah.
drunk guy, there's going to be the mom, and so you have that, and then you can stop it at any time and like bring in other people from the audience and be like, okay, well, if you what would you do, differently,
Oh,
and they can kind of take any one of those roles and change the scenario basically. So
so cool. So you actually bring in the audience. It's like audience participation.
exactly,
Like
that's kind of the point of the of
breaking the
it. And
wall.
yeah, exactly, and that's kind of what he created it, because in Greece they instead of like revolution, there was like a lot of unrest and like partying and all this stuff, and so they created the pavilion where there would be the theater and then the watchers, and they did that on purpose so that they would like subdue their population
Yeah.
basically, so they'd
Hmm.
be like, all you guys just be quiet, and we're continuing to do that with our TV and all that stuff,
Yes.
and so that's what Augusto Boal created: interactive and like collaborative
Yeah.
entertainment. So it's theater, but it's also like anyone can be a part of it at any time. So there's like that, feeling of
It's the
evolution and
field.
revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
totally.
shared field. That
Yeah.
kind of that's like has a little flavor of almost like constellation work as well, because it's
Oh,
like
cool.
a group of people playing parts, in a scenario,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
it's like life theater in a way.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, so it should be fun. That's just one of the things. I was an accountant for like 15 years. So
Oh
just
wow,
bringing cash flow and budgeting and empowering people to be able to manage their
how
finances and
very
stuff.
Virgoian of you.
Yes, that exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all part of putting you can put all your pieces together,
Yeah,
and you get like a full person. So I love that
that's
too.
that's really that's really what I do as an integrative healing coach, right? Is bring all the pieces back together. All
That's
right, Fern,
beautiful.
thank you so much for joining me. It was such a
Thank
pleasure
you,
meeting you, and I
Adrienne.
can't wait
I
to
was so good to
see
see you.
you at school. See you in
See you
school.
next week. Yeah, see you really soon. I can't wait. Thank you so much.